Good morning, warm greetings. Welcome to this retreat, and very timely. There's so much excitement around here for this celebration of the Prophet Christ, and this wonderful energy to understand the subtlety, to stay in the subtle, and appreciate this extraordinary drama. It'd be great if you're happy to come into camera and interact in the chat as always. And this redrawing the map through knowledge, and recently reflecting on how the prophets have the part of sustenance and slowing the fall for those souls that are coming fresh from the home. And really, although knowing the knowledge, but integrating it, really understanding the difference. It's like 180 degrees opposite way round, and redrawing what that means for this time. And although through many lives we've been inspired, the way we're being drawn back to this divinity of each and every soul, but that first relationship and where it all comes from. I hope that you can hear. I hope translation appears to be fine. So thank you for confirming, and yeah, handing over to Prashant. You're ready. Thank you. Good morning.
Hello and good morning. Yes, as was said, such a necessary aspect for us to know in the season what the roles are of the prophets and saints, sages. So we'll have a chance to understand this over the next 2 days and of course experience the greatness of all of them. Let us start with a few moments of experience. Let us experience that spiritual greatness that is experienced by prophets, sages, and yogis. As was referred to today, the first thing for us is to use the spiritual sight, the third eye. If we have it, there is no reason why we shouldn't use it. And you can answer, what happens with the third eye? You can type, okay, I use the third eye. What do I see with the third eye? Why should it help me gain victory and change things? Make one into a deity. You can type.
So one response, we can think outside the normal box, expanding the horizon with the third eye. You can see the subtle big map and see beyond. And but the issue is it gets fused between the two physical eyes without attention. Third eye of knowledge. I can see behind the drama. We see the true self.
Yeah, nice. With the third eye, it is like synonymous with paras. When we say paras intellect, what happens with paras intellect? You can see beyond Cinderella. If I am not using the third eye, then day in and day out, you are stuck with Cinderella as if nothing else exists. And what happens when you are just stuck with that? Without, is it possible to stay without attachments? With that blindness, third eye, you don't use means that is blind. You can't access the most important aspect of the life, including the self. And then given the confusion and darkness, that Cinderella world becomes our world. And these angelic souls, they think they are Cinderellas. So such is the situation. So here, in 1 second, game changes. You use the third eye, you can see the full map, and you can see the true self, subtle. The whole dimension is alokik, subtle, divine, eternal, godly. That's why they're godly children. It is a world is of God with God. It is divine. Ravan cannot come in this dimension. Ravan's field of action is that story world. And this dimension is timeless, eternal, beyond harm. Nothing can harm anyone. All of that makes it extraordinary. And it is like a huge lottery. In 1 second, you are discovering the huge lottery that you have won, including you are discovering yourself, true self. And true self is angelic self, not just prophet or sage. The truth is angelic. All are angelic souls. All. They're all divine and all are from the God's family. And then we are understanding that every second you are just experiencing this dimension, life with God, life with the divine souls, true family, world of immortality. You're just experiencing this great prize. You are actually contributing to the true benevolence. Because you experiencing this, it creates light. That's why it is a lighthouse effect. And in this, it will become easy for others to experience it. The only reason they are stuck in that Cinderella world, as if they are under a spell. Everything is in front. Their world is right in front. No one is preventing them. But as if they are under a spell, is because everyone's attention is there. Attention of 8 billion, all is in that Cinderella world. They keep thinking of it. So those who have knowledge, we have this beautiful role to create light, be the lighthouse. That is the need of the present time. As we continue with our rest of the journey, we remember this great option, effortless. That our effort is to stay in celebration, stay in this world of joy and love and world that is divine, world that is beyond harm, with God and worthiness. This invisible player knows his worthiness to be with God, to be loved by God. He experiences complete freedom from the story. Experience all this. And on top of this, you are also doing good karma. Every minute we are doing this, congratulate. That is our life. Congratulations and celebration. Thank you. Yeah, encouragement for you to feel free to share, type, and as always, we are first going to use our whiteboard, and we are going to see what has happened to us during our journey in this physical world. It is meant to be a complete circle. If it doesn't look like a circle, imagine it is a circle. So we all souls, we are in our home. That is the eternal home of everyone. Let us try. Yeah, as was said, you use the third eye, imagine it's a complete circle. And these angelic souls, they come here in the physical world, and there's a time they return back. So this is the home of the souls. They are actors, but when they are in their home, they are not playing the part of any kind. And they first come in the drama, and as we know, the starting is the deity world. So they all play the part of deities, the souls. On this stage, there were living deities. Now we are seeing the temples and statues, and they are worshipping them in a day and night, with lots of purity and cleanliness. These are like the world, the stage. There was no one else other than deities, soul conscious souls. Nothing inauspicious in them. The whole community is like this, where they don't know what desire is, they don't know what vices are, they don't know what sorrow is. Community was like this. You can imagine that it is a world of love and joy. It is like a super sensuous experience. Happiness is not because they got golden palaces, but they were what we often say, the angels in flesh and bones. Ordinarily, angels are without flesh and bones. But when angels are in the physical, we call them deities, perfect human beings. Gives us an idea. At present, human beings are, even psychology might say, human beings, it is normal for them to get angry because animals get angry. It is normal to be selfish because everyone is selfish. This is the way the psychology department teaches. When you see the full picture, you realize the human beings have got this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde side. Kakosh, Kalosh, good and the wicked, beautiful and ugly. So this is the beautiful side of the human being. There is a perfection, human beings in its best, godlike beings. Humans, this is not God, human beings, like godlike. So that continues. And here we are using the word heaven the whole time. There are deities in heaven. Then there comes a time there are not deities anymore, but now we have got prophets. When Copper Age starts, the part of prophets start. Prophets are like deities, but their birth is in the Copper Age. I'm using this word like deities because they are new souls. They are clean inside, outside. There is no body consciousness in them. There is a difference. Deities are deities. That's why they are called prophets. Difference between prophets and the sages. Prophets have a Alokik birth. They come in an adult body. And because of that, they are able to maintain that purity and power. They have not lost power. Those who are born in the childhood, they are also new souls, but born and gone through the childhood. They have lost some power, whereas prophets, they have not lost power because they have bypassed this childhood phase. They come in an adult when the adult is 30 years of age. And that's why they are able to play that part. And people see something unique about them. And they don't say, I am a prophet, or I am a messenger. People say, just because they realize this is something very different. People recognize this. Prophets can be described as those who have got more than ordinary insight into the spiritual and the moral side of the human beings. More than ordinary. They have the insight. As human beings get older and older in the journey of the soul, first thing they lose is insight. They can't see the obvious. When someone is taken to the hospital in a psychiatry department, one thing they check is if he has got insight. Can he sort of see the obvious, or he can't even, there is no something obvious he misses. That is what is they try to observe. Where is your home? Where is your house? They can't connect with things. So here the prophets, because they are new souls, and deities, it is natural. At old age, a young age, they are naturally in that state. They have power. The prophets, they don't have the power. That's why they have to come in an adult body, and so that they can maintain power for to play that part of the prophet. The etymology of prophet is pro is beforehand or before, in the second part, phases, like what we say, phasia, to speak, to tell. So they can tell you beforehand. They can look into the future, tell you also, but they can tell you things that others miss. It may become obvious in time, but they can tell you, warn you beforehand. They are often seen as those who are close to God, in contact with God. They bring messages from God. This is the way they are seen. As was said, they themselves may not even say this. People say this because people feel this. Now, the reality is we know they are not in contact with God, but because they are new, there is that experience in others. They have that power, and they have just come from the home. They are not completely lost in the Cinderella world. That's why prophets. And interesting, in different parts of the world, whether it is in all the prophets, they end up starting the movement. In time, it is called a religion, and they play the part. What is the difference in the part of prophets and part of God? At the confluence age, there is part of God, and the part of prophets. What is the difference? Anyone want to tell? Prophets come, whether it is starting with Abraham, maybe Buddha, and then Christ, and Muhammad, Guru Nanak. The prophets continue even to this age. In this century, there are prophets, and those who come in an adult body and play the part. We mentioned in the past example of Vivekananda, Aurobindo. Their story tells that they have come in an adult body and play that part, and they sort of fit in with the description. During that phase, they can they have the power. Others recognize the power. They don't have to tell, I have power. Like when Vivekananda was in the World Congress of Parliament in Chicago, there were others, bishops, cardinals, and all this, and Vivekananda was not known even. But the others said, this person is different. He was not interested in anything of this world. He was not distracted. He is different. Cardinals, they started saying this. So the same thing happens with all the prophets during that time, their time. They notice that here, this person is from another planet. He is not like other humans. Other humans, they have crossed the line. They are into Ravan's camp. The Ravan's, some Ravan's vibrations are there. Desires and some kind of a little selfishness, and it means something to them. They have got attractions and vices. Whereas the prophets, they don't. They are full, internally full. They have not yet crossed the line.
So there's some comments in the chat in response to your question, what is the difference between prophets and God? God comes once every turn of the cycle to establish. The prophets, she's saying, don't, but maybe they don't establish is the point. Prophets don't purify souls, but they establish their branch. Gods are made from their work. Prophets are called. Prophets bring souls down from the home, but God takes everyone back. And God doesn't come in a body, someone is saying.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you. Another way to understand this, when God's incarnation happens, everyone has lost power, lost everything. They are bankrupt. And they are completely deceived and unconscious. They are gone into the drama completely. That's why Ravan completely rules their mind and life. And that is the time God comes and plays the part of freeing them from Ravan, making them conscious, and they are then able to play the part with God, perform highest karma, makes them into deities. So this huge part of upliftment, purification, donation of life, and creating heaven, and that is happening with the incarnation of God. Whereas when the prophets come, they play the part, prophets, but they are not playing the part of purifying those who are there at that time. They don't have a method for purifying the old souls, but they give a structure to sustain those who are going to come after them. Different, from the structures. One prophet might give a law, very strict law, what anyone should not cross, because it is to protect them from Ravan. Another prophet gives them a method of, charity, silence, peace, meditation. But if you look into the details, there is no method to purify. There is no recognition of Ravan properly. And so that method doesn't free them from Ravan. But it prevents the slows down the fall. That is the structure. And in each part, it is a different structure, but it is appropriate for those branches, those souls. Same part is played by deities. Like, say, when we are talking about Vishnu, whether they are Lakshmi Narayan or whoever, they play the part of slowing down the fall. Sustenance is carried out by the deities, and deities in their power. Those who all are deities, but those who are most powerful, they sustain that structure and ethics and morality. If you read history books, I'm talking here recent history, there is a comment made that when Queen Victoria passed away, within years, the society was a different society. Something had changed. The ethics had changed of the country. And at that time, she was not talking to anyone. She was not, there was no television or radio, but just her stage, her presence held a certain standard. And when she passed away, there was a drop. Within years, they say, there was a different society. Same thing happens during the Lakshmi Narayan and Ram Sita. They hold the soul consciousness in the face of all this, gold and in the golden aged, perfection all around. Matter is in its best form, but they are not slaves to matter. They are not distracted by matter. They remain soul conscious, and that is sustained by the deities. That's what we call Vishnu. And the same part is played by prophets in that life and subsequent lives. That they have that power is there in them to play that part in the Copper Age, Iron Age. Otherwise, things would have collapsed much faster. This cycle is to go. Otherwise it won't be a cycle. So that is the prophets. And sages, who are the sages? You want to answer? How do you understand who are the sages? What's the difference between prophets and the sages?
Well, you mentioned earlier that prophets have an alokik birth, and they don't go through physical birth, so that appears to be a major difference. I had a question that maybe the more than ordinary insight into the moral and spiritual nature of human beings could be similar for both. Sages read scriptures is one. Sages, an extremely wise person. Yes, prophets help us.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. And it's Plato, he said nicely, what philosophers are striving to experience, sages have already attained. So it is like there are scholars and philosophers and people, who would like to have something. Sages, they see that these are ones who already have experienced wisdom. So they are not seeking. Sages are not searching. They already they feel that they have got what is required. They know it already. This kind of feeling. But same thing applies to various fulfilled state of fulfilled feeling. And the true sage, we are talking about you know, and the sages that were remembered of the Copper Age. Rishi is a word used, and it is a word of great respect. Anyone is a Rishi, and there's a great respect for them. He lives according to the ideals and transcends ordinariness. Sage would be, the rishi, he will be master of matter, and also means he's not slave of matter. And if anyone who is slave of matter, you might not call him a rishi. Rishi, sage, means they are beyond. For example, they are not sort of living to eat, but they eat to live. That is, so they want to keep the body going, and that's why they would give to the body what the body needs. But senses are not ruling their lives. So matter has got nothing to offer to them. Then they are sages. But because they are free from matter like that, they're masters of matter, not slaves of matter. They have siddhis. Siddhis means they have got magical powers. And in history, you will see this kind of this is a law, for all souls. The moment you are not a slave of matter, you become master of matter. And matter will show the magic. Your wishes become horses. So that was seen in the Copper Age rishis. That wisdom they had, they wrote scriptures. So various scriptures, that you see from different countries, and they have come from that mind of a sage with authority, certain insights. As we know, we are talking about Copper Age and the Iron Age. That is the reference we have at the cycle. So we said that one time there were deities, there are prophets, now there are sages at one time. Every age is lit by these different souls. Possibly in every generation, something is going on. Like, for example, in the last generation, there was someone like Gandhiji, and people all over, they said he is not from this planet. No one could believe someone like him can exist. Einstein, people like Einstein said this, because these are like the Mahatmas of the present time. They are also the new souls. Something of that kind can only be done by the new souls. And saints, all these are done by new souls. Old souls cannot be saints, cannot be Mahatmas, cannot be prophets, cannot be sages. They are into different levels, warrior, merchant, Shudras. They're at different level. They're like prophets in their next birth, they are saints. So they need to be necessarily the early births, first, second, those sort of births. That is that sparkle there, and it manifests in different ways, and it creates richness in that generation. Cannot be hidden, and they will be noticed. And then after that comes angels. At this time, confluence age is the age of God and angels. Angelic part is not in the body. All these deities, prophets, sages, saints, Mahatmas, they are all scholars, philosophers. They are all in the bodily part. The angelic part is awake, bodiless. As was said, deities are angels in flesh and bones. And before angels is what? What is the part before angels? Do you want to tell?
Thinking deeply. Brahmins.
Yeah, good. I was thinking of yogis. So when Baba uses the word yogi, so what is the difference between yogi and everyone else? Yogi and sages, what's the difference?
So Brahmin becomes yogi. Okay. They're becoming sage-like. Yogis perform action with the with the right attitude, karma yogi.
Yes, good.
Stay connected to God, relationship with God.
Yeah. What is happening is with everyone else, they are going down the ladder. The law of the drama is such. They come new and then they are losing power, sometimes in the same birth also. And as they go down the cycle, the power also goes down. And then they do not remain deities, they do not remain sages, they do not remain Mahatmas. They can become, kings and royals, but not sages. Whereas yogis, they are on the ladder going up. And Baba uses the word, those who are yogis, you are becoming Mahatmas. You know, and you are not just rishis, but you are Raj rishis, and you are the true messengers. You are the true intermediaries. They call prophets are intermediaries between God and the world. But at the present time, yogis are the ones who are the true intermediaries. You really are playing the part with God. Okay, just one more question. What's the difference between yogi and one who has yoga? Those who have not heard this question before, you get first chance to answer. What's the difference between yogi and one who has yoga?
Possible that most have heard this. Okay, yogi is experiencing yoga, is still becoming. One is practicing yoga. Translate. There isn't a difference. Someone's written trying to use the wings. The other one is flying.
Yeah. Once Baba asked this question, and Baba answered, yogi lives there and he comes here. He lives in the soul world, that is his home, and he comes here. He feels he's a guest here. He may be here, 100 years, but I'm a guest. He can't be from here. That is natural for him. One who has yoga, he feels he is from here. He lives here and he goes there. He goes there for 1 hour. He has 1 hour of yoga. And then 1 hour finished, he's back here. He feels he's from here. That may be a necessary step. The starting position will be having yoga, but our further step is yogi. Who can be the yogi? What will be the, you want to tell a little bit more? Who can ever be yogi?
The soul can be.
Yeah, the word soul. Yeah, the yogi looks like a tiny point. Mr. Harry is part of the drama, as we are often saying, and there is, Cinderella doesn't become a yogi. So actor, invisible actor, is the invisible soul here, and he wakes up. That is the necessary part. He wakes up. He understands he is from His world is different. His everything is different. Family is different. And he just visiting here. Cinderella world, that is not his world. That is a yogi. He is a visitor here. He is a guest here. So let us create a few minutes of experience. Let us come in that yogi experience. But before if there is anything Sarah want to add or any comments, anyone want to share any thoughts?
Yeah, there are some questions.
Okay, let us deal.
Are the prophets, like Jesus, still on the world stage and living, continuing their religion?
All the prophets are on the world stage. For that matter, everyone who has ever come on the drama, they are here. They cannot go back home. In some part, they are playing the part, and it continues. Part continues. But it is very likely they are in the same branch and the same religion. They go through Sato Rajotamo, which means they don't play the same art. The deity becomes warrior, becomes merchant, becomes Shudra. So they go through those phases.
So the next question is, why do they reincarnate if they are perfect? Understood they need to sustain their religion, but can that not be done from the subtle region? Because when they come down, if they reincarnate, they get influenced.
No one has a choice. As we see, even the deities, they don't have a choice. That they are, very, very powerful. They remain soul conscious throughout their lifetime, and through that whole age, they have power. But they cannot say, I am not going to take a rebirth. And that is like a part of the destiny of the drama is made like that.
I suppose it answers the next question. Why does Brahma Baba not reincarnate? Drama is not like that, but do you want to expand?
Reincarnate when? At the present time?
Yes.
No, his part is the avyakt part. And it is a journey for everyone. We all have to leave the physical and go to the subtle region, and it is now the journey back home. So his part is to create that path, and be the lighthouse. Angelic part. That is the need of the present time. And Baba wants more of us to be avyakt. Then in golden age, they will have that, you know, in the physical world, the part in the physical world.
How to have magical powers. This is from the Spanish group. You mentioned, I
Yeah,
think, ages.
yeah. The word siddhi, Baba uses that word also, siddhi. And siddhi is like the magical results, magical success. It's and yogis are the ones who become the highest. Here, with the examples that we saw, sages and all, they are of the copper age. Yogis achieve in the higher stage. To become deities, you need to go higher. So the method for that is you need to become master of matter. In the ordinary state, like souls, like Iron Age, they are slaves of matter. Matter, they need something, they are all the time desiring something in the drama. Their pleasures are based on the drama. They have vices. Ravan is a slave, to matter. He thinks about things of the matter. Uh, if Ravan is removed, then you don't have slavery to matter. If you are not slave to matter, then you are the master of matter. That's all. You just need to remove Ravan, and the natural relationship of the soul with matter is master. Yeah, you become master of matter.
Thank you. I hope it helps. When you were saying the prophets are not actually the intermediaries, then actually the word prophet, it has, in a sense, the meaning of receiving and giving messages and insights. So it's not truly the right word. In a sense, we have to relanguage it, but also sage, maybe often understood with the one that has practical insights and can be true to live. So in a way, that's not the right word. Would you agree?
Where we mentioned about etymology of prophet, pro is before, and the second part, phases, means to speak. Means if you can tell beforehand, that is prophet. There is no God involved. Like someone like Buddha, he doesn't even believe in God, for example, but he's still a prophet. But people project different um, their titles and their ideas. They project them on the others, and they might say he's intermediary to God or something like that. But we now see that once the clock starts, each one plays their part. In a different time, they play their part. God is not involved in the golden age, silver age, copper age, iron age. God is not playing a part. But clock is moving on by its script, and the prophets play their part. But because they are pure, it appears as if they are godlike, or they're bringing God's message, or some might say he himself is God. Some might say it like that. The prophet, he and God is the same. This kind of language.
Yeah, that was very interesting. And so in Supri means before, yeah. And also pro means favor. Yeah, thank you. Very helpful. So there are no more questions right now.
Sure. So let us come into some experience. And in this practice, we are reminding our eternal world We are reminding that what has happened to these invisible players. Invisible players are the invisible princes. They are immensely lucky, these invisible princes. It is all journey of these princes. They, they are from the family of God. Their world is of disbelief. Everything of theirs is subtle. And so also when we are talking about sages, prophets, the people project it at the physical level. They show photographs of prophets and photographs of sages. But truth is they are all tiny points. Everything is happening at a subtle level. Just like God is point, we understand his form is tiny point. Light, there is no physical form. Same thing applies to each prophet, to everyone. Now we are using our spiritual sight and understand this immensely beautiful truth, but it is all subtle and alokik. When we use the word alokik, it implies invisible. It is divine also, but it is unearthly, but necessarily invisible, subtle. So these invisible princes, they they come in this amazing performance, physical performance, but as they lose their power, they are deceived by this performance. If they had power, they are not deceived. Then they can see the performance. They can also see their world. Even children are dealing with, and they can see the drama and they can come back home. Just because to see the drama doesn't mean you are deceived and become unconscious. But these invisible princes, they come in this physical world, but they are gradually getting deceived by this performance, getting drawn into it, create bondages and attachments until they become unconscious. They can't see their world anymore. They can't see their subtle and alokik world. They can't see their family, then they can't even see themselves. Such is the extreme situation. Day in and day out, they are just in the story. And in such a state, they think the story is their world. Consider himself to be Harry and live in that story. Cinderella world has become their world. We are at least understanding what has happened to this invisible player. So our aim is not just to improve life of Cinderella. That is not our aim. Make Cinderella holy. That is not the aim. Our aim is to revive the invisible prince. then he is a yogi. If he is revived, he becomes conscious, then he is a yogi. One is to wake up and other is to stay awake. Today in the Murli, Baba used the word Sanjeevani, life-giving herb, the translation. Sanjeevani is one that revives the knowledge of Manmanabhav. That is Baba's task, to revive this one who is unconscious. Even now, just having this bigger map and understanding this journey, that is a step. Already it is a step towards awakening. Now, our next step, we consciously come to the Supreme Home. We have a function of attention, and we can direct this attention where we choose. Attention is like a torch, light. You can direct it wherever you want. You can pay attention to things of the story, of the past. I can direct my attention to yesterday. I can also direct this attention to that supreme home. This second, we come to that supreme home. Immerse ourselves in that sky. The light and the color of this world is all around us. We are actively experiencing the light and the color of this supreme home. And even when we hear the words, we do not let go of that experience. Mind is experiencing the light and the color. Continuously. In the sky are the living stars. We hear all this, but the experience of the light and the color continues. This world is timeless. It exists forever. We are seeing this world and we know this is important. This region is important. It is not just a meditation, it's a home. this dimension is eternal, is real, then it is the main one. This tension in this world that favors the soul. This environment favors the soul. Soul becomes conscious. Just a thought. That is all that is required. And now for him to be like a point is normal. He understands he is the one who is that invisible traveler. Just that point. To be immortal is normal for him. To belong to that sky is normal for him. To be completely independent from the story is normal for him. Right now, Prashant is talking about the soul and the home. But Prashant is part of the story. All this happening in the story, talking is happening in the story. At the same time, the invisible player is conscious. He sees his complete independence from the story. He is not an extension of anything from the story. Independent. Story may disappear, story may finish. It is a story. The invisible player knows that everyone is lucky. They all are from this supreme home. All are immortal and all are lucky. Eternally lucky. All are worthy to be loved by God. He sees this and he knows this. He knows they all are like tiny points. That is normal for him. When God is like this, they are all subtle. The world itself is subtle, alokik, divine, eternal. Every minute we are experiencing this, we make it easy for us to experience it again, as if we are creating a track, and then it will make it easy for others to experience. As we continue on our journey, we remember immensely beautiful truth, but invisible player is conscious. He is seeing this world. Now we are seeing from the perspective of the soul, unpolluted by the drama. We don't just say the language soul, soul, but the perspective is from the soul. He knows his complete independence from the story, from the role, from the body. Doesn't mix his life with the story. Even though he's playing the part, he knows that part is completely separate. An invisible player, his world is independent. Our big success over the next hour or rest of the day is to remain conscious, to keep the soul alive, if I can use that language. One of the tasks of the yogi is donation of life, but it starts from the self. He has to first become conscious and remain conscious. Invisible, invisible player is the invisible prince. That's why Raj Rishi. Rishi means sage. Raj is like a royal king or a prince. Baba likes that term. It is not the bodily, some Harry becomes Raj Rishi, but that tiny point who is conscious and is not deceived by the glitter and gold in that story world. He is Raj Rishi. Thank you.
So maybe a good time for rooms break. This feeling of the foot of the intellect being above. I like that expression, what was shared. It's normal to be from the sky. Independence is noble. Prashant, would you like to suggest a question that might promote discussion on what was shared?
Yeah. What is the highest way we can use this yogi life That is, a yogi time is a limited time. Confluence age is short. What is the highest way we can use the remaining confluence age?
Thank you. That might begin the discussion, and Heather will invite us shortly. And if you need to be in a different room for your language, or if you find the room has not got other souls, then just let us know. There should be a help button. So see you back in 10 or 15 minutes. Thank you. Made it back safely. I hope we had enough time. We would like to invite 1 minute of silence on this yogi perspective. Thank you. Very precious moment of holding that space. And I love the way that everything continues. Music might finish, call finishes, but that space continues. So today, happy to be welcoming in Brother Sanjay. And be great to hear from you, your what's coming up, your insights, experiences. Good afternoon, I think, where you are.
Right, it's afternoon, rainy afternoon. The summer starts with a storm here. So it was so rich and powerful conversation around this yogi question, what the best use of the time left in this confluence age. Many rich answers came up and I enjoyed it very much. One was like to see and acknowledge the luck that all of us, the fortune, and to be so appreciative for this and share it. The option to see the light and to be a light for others, to show them the way and create this beautiful space for them. And the method that was mentioned to just remind the self as much as possible who we are, where we came from, what is the option that one knows God and knows his task and take the same task upon the self. It's a huge choice that is in front of us, and those who really fully understood this fortune and this time can choose to take the task also with God, next to God, and in an easy way, because it meant to be easy, it meant to be fun. This life of this tiny point who knows everything like God knows should be very easy, very joyful. So why not to help God to bring this joy and celebration into those miserable, invisible princes, our brothers, that yet to know all about their fortune also. So also was mentioned the method of using words that kind of affirmations to us, like to raise those questions that brings those powerful answers from the knowledge, from the Murli. And whatever makes us powerful or put us on the right rails, just to use those words again and again in a repetitive way until they become our nature. And then peace and happiness and love are there the minute we remind ourselves those words, and in a beautiful way. So thank you very much for another opportunity to share. Sarah. Shanti.
Shanti, and thank you so much also for bringing the flavor of the discussion and, invitation for everyone. Please do share what came up and what is alive. And this, from the Murli, this statement, it's not time for battling, it's time for becoming. It really is that shift. And it was like having yoga with that yogi form, that starting there is so powerful to holding it clean in a way. So, what is the highest way? As you said, see the light, be in the light. Also, I like the continuity that came when was shared the Vishnu form. We understand Lakshmi Narayan, Golden Age, is the Vishnu. And then also the prophets, they're playing their version of the Vishnu form as the patterning. Felt like quite a beautiful continuity, but within that, this variety of the different roles. So thank you. And some questions, feel free. There is one that's just popped in. Meanwhile, welcoming back Prashant. Thank you.
Hello, and thanks for sharings, and thanks to Sanjay. Happy to hear the questions.
Well, one that came before the rooms near the beginning. What are your personal handy hints for practicing becoming detached from body consciousness? You are managing this. What sort of things do you do to move closer to mastery over the self, mastery over the body? What do you personally do? Possibly some of this got answered because these practices are what are being shared, but would you like to expand?
Yes. We used the word track. Say there is a field in your town, and someone walks in that field and, just once. He already creates a track. Next time he goes, that path is already there. It will become easy for him to follow. And after a few days, it will become easy for others to go by that path. It will become a popular path for everyone else also. Same thing happens here. You create 1 minute of quality, and all along to know that ego wants you to mix it with the drama. Ego has no problem. You use the language, soul, God. Ego has no problem with that. But if you practice accurately, ego will try to mix himself. So you're using the language soul, but you mix it with things of the drama, with the role. That is why this extra caution to see the soul clean, independent of the story. That is the effort. All these different steps we did in the meditation to free. So create these minutes, just 1 minute of quality. Baba's nice program, pay attention to quality and quantity will take care of itself.
What I observe with all of us, we're discovering something so extraordinary. It's the answer to all the riddles. So I think when you've discovered, you feel you're touching something profound, you want to go back to it. So this excitement energy that that we see when these discussions, that the track idea, it's so inspiring. You're helping others, and it's like a new invention, and everyone needs it. So I think that's what comes across for me in answer to your question. Self-perpetuating discovery. There's a question. Can you elaborate more on the difference between sages and saints?
These are different words used in different cultures. Some use the word sage, and they say sages only were there in the Copper Age. There are no sages anymore. This is the kind of language used. Sages are embodiment. This is the way they see. And saints are holy people who are searching also. They are not ordinary. They are different. And possibly they were prophets in the earlier life, or they were sages in the earlier life. But they have holiness, they have greatness, but they are not embodiment. We were mentioning earlier, sages are not seeking anymore. They are masters. That is the way it is defined. Whereas saints, they will be, trying to understand. But as was said, all these, whether it is sages or saints or prophets, they are fairly new souls, as opposed to yogis and Brahmins. They are students. They are having different starting position is different for the yogis. The way we use these words.
Thank you. That sounds clear. Any other related questions? Feel free. Yeah, that's clear. The richness of the knowledge possessed by prophets, even without knowing God, how does the prophet attain this kind of power?
In the earlier life, and obviously at the confluence age, and when the incarnation of God takes place, he deals with the old world. Everyone has become old, and as was mentioned, everyone is bankrupt. They don't even know themselves, unconscious, and lost in the glitter and gold, of the story. So this is the starting position of all the souls. And God's part is to create angels, create deities, create prophets and sages and kings. He sets up the next cycle. Golden Age, Silver Age, this is the time. Confluence Age is the time when the next cycle is set. Clock is set at the present time. And then everyone goes back home. All the souls go back home. When they do come down, then that part, is revealed. It is expressed.
One wonders, what is the experience of the prophet? They won't know really their role in a sense, but they're just sharing their experience. There's some notion of God in the prophets that some share, but could you expand on that? What it is they actually know? Can they connect to their experience, the last birth at the confluence in some way?
The final scene, before everyone goes back to the home, is of truth. Everyone, each and every soul, before coming back to the home, they can go back home only with the experience of 100% truth. And so the same thing happens to souls who would later play the part of the deities in the Golden Age. And the same thing happens to everyone. And so when they are born, they know the truth. But they lose the truth as time progresses. And in a Copper Age, Iron Age, as they become adult, they have lost it already because power is less. With prophet souls, they bypass this childhood phase. That's why they are able to hold on to that truth and speak about it, get it across to others. They can see the contrast. If you can very clearly see something, know something very clearly, you can see a bit like others. If you are dealing with children and they are creating such confusion, clearly what is right and how to solve it. It is a bit like that. He is like an adult. Any prophet soul is like an adult in the midst of children. They all are creating problem of nothing. And they can sort of say, this is unnecessary, something like that.
I was just thinking of that this morning, with children. It's so obvious, everything is on the face, and you say, have you eaten chocolate? And they say no, and it's like all over their mouth. They don't realize how obvious it is, their childishness and their mischievousness. It's like sweet in a way. So maybe for the prophets, it's like all adults are like children, it's very childlike, childish. So perhaps it's just like that for all of us. Yeah. When we become more yogi, everything is childish, really. Question: was Mother Teresa a new soul or a saint?
Saintly, I would say. not prophet soul, not born that way, but starts in a from the womb. It is that kind of a journey. But these are all speculations. We have the broad map, but the rest all will be speculation. But more important for us, we are seeing the greatness of all these different phases, like those who have this grasp of the truth, and those are embodiments of truth, and they're being close to God, and the master of matter, not slave of matter. And as a student, we have the opportunity to practice all these things. We got a broad map. We can go into the details and then we can speculate many things. But we understood the principle. And now is the time for us to imbibe all this, take inspirations from all this. And more we step out of this Ravana's confusion, we get an opportunity to imbibe all this in a beautiful way, and become the embodiment of it. The invisible player, and completely free from this physical world. This is a big secret. All the confusion is getting trapped in that physical world, making that physical world a web. That is where the whole chaos is. Invisible player, he remains free. And then all the other experiences follow. Excellent. We'll get chance to meet again tomorrow, and we'll be hearing some transmission. We'll connect with the yogi, the one who is Yogeshwar, God who teaches yoga and creates yogis.
अपने दिल में Transcends.